Are you turning healthy fruits into highly unhealthy fruits without even realizing it? Fruit can be one of the healthiest things you can put into your body, but the majority of Americans are guilty of making this single mistake that can counteract all of the health benefits of fruit. Some fruits can help with occasional constipation, reduce bloating, and even help burn calories. Others can wreak havoc on your digestive system and energy levels. In this viral presentation, world-renowned heart surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry showcases the 3 fruits to stop eating today. Go to thehealthyfat.com/inspired or click on the link in the description box below to learn the top 3 common foods that are the cause of your fatigue. Eliminating these foods could forever change the way we help increase energy levels, decrease brain fog, support digestion, and even lose weight. This video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/inspired. Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, it's Jean Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Inspired live stream. A little later in the day than usual, but we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. It's great to see you all in the live chat. Thank you for tuning in. I see some new tribe members, some more original tribe members, Crypto Beauty, Lee, Pure Water, My Secret Art Sketchbook Note Pages. That's a long name. Andrea. Pascal, good to see you from Spain. Grateful Warrior, thank you all. I want to dive right into it today. We are most definitely seeing quite the intense buildup, and that's something we talked about in previous live streams over the last weeks, and it's simply something that we want to address. We have so many people all over the world that are watching. We have wonderful tribe members in Europe, and right now, there's definitely a lot of war drum beating going on in Europe. We believe that there is this cult really wants this war. I think they do want war with Russia, all-out war. The war with Russia has been going on, but all-out war, continental war, intercontinental war, international war. It's just something that they've been itching to do for so long. They couldn't get it the way they wanted it in the years between 2017 and 2021 during the Trump presidency. He just wasn't playing ball on that particular deal. And now I think with what is happening in the United States, with the buildup of the primaries, the election, the war drum is beating. And we showed you a short clip about which is from the press conference of this new NATO exercise, Steadfast Defender 2024, which is the largest exercise in NATO history, 90,000 troops. We showed you a small clip from that opening press conference, but we decided to show you the full clip here just so you see a little bit of what this is about and what these military officials of this alliance, NATO, are saying.
Conference with an opening.
We today announced the kickoff of Exercise Steadfast Defender 2024, which commences next week and runs through May. Steadfast Defender 24 will be the largest NATO exercise in decades, with participation from approximately 90,000 forces from all 31 allies, plus our good partner, Sweden. The alliance will demonstrate its ability to reinforce the Euro-Atlantic area via transatlantic movement of forces from North America. This reinforcement will occur during a simulated emerging conflict scenario against a near-peer adversary. Steadfast Defender 24 will be a clear demonstration of our unity, our strength, and our determination to protect each other, to protect, of course, our values and the rules-based international order.
Industrial base that is able to produce weapons and ammunition fast enough. Sorry, the big difference with a year ago, I would say, Terry, is that there's a lot of things that have happened in the armed forces and in the defense organizations. What hasn't happened is in our societies the understanding that it is more than the military that has to be able to operate in a conflict or in a war. It is the whole of society that will get involved, whether we like it or not. That realization, we didn't talk about that much a year ago. If you look back to last year, what has happened in our alliance with regard to the battle groups that we set up, if you look back to the training, the fact that we now have Steadfast Defender with 90,000 troops, that is a record number. That is a record number of troops that we can bring to bear and have an exercise with in that size. Across the alliance, across the ocean, from the US to Europe, in Europe. That is a big change.
AFP and then at the back.
So I wanted you to see this clip. And as I said, when we showed part of it a few days ago, the body language, their eyes, there is a sense of urgency that I believe they wanted to convey, especially the gentleman who just spoke. Now, wanted to convey. You can see that, and I think it is also fear. It is fear because just because the people behind these people want to go to war doesn't mean they do. Because the people behind those people who want to go to war usually have never experienced it or even have a clue what that means. They don't care. They're the people pushing the money. They're the people pushing the agendas. And war is, unfortunately, I'm sorry, if I'm being very cynical, war is good for many things. War is great for business. War is great for transformation because you can rebuild. You don't have to worry about anything. You tear it down and then you build it up. And so in there, as I said, it's a tool in their toolbox. And right now they're pushing. And you can see that the more the European populations are rising up, which they are, the German farmers, the protests keep going on, the French, the Netherlands, the Dutch people. I mean, all over the place, you see a rising up, and it's the kind that they're afraid of. See, when the people go and really get like violent and in riots, which is usually agent provocateurs anyways, but when there's a lot of anger, that's kind of easier to control, because with the anger, they have a legitimate reason to move in and just quell the riots, right? When people get angry and violent, then they just send the units of police and God knows who in, and they end it. That's a legitimate reason to do it, keeping the peace. But when people are calm, when they're peaceful, when they simply clog up the structures, when they simply step together in unity, when they find each other on that level, it's a very, very dangerous thing. And that's why they're trying to divide these people into political groups and why they call them right-wing extremists. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. This doesn't work anymore. And so the people are realizing as they stand together in the streets, as they drive together, as they speak with each other, that there's so much more that unites them than what divides them. And that unity is what they're afraid of. And so the talks are literally, I think, behind the scenes is, are we going for another disease? Are we going for another, you know what? Are we going to go for war? Are we going to go for both? And a combination. I think that's what they're reasoning right now. And it is out of fear. It's a cornered animal. They are very, very fearful. Don't make any mistakes. And I know they're watching. There's another interesting move that shows to me a preparation for war. It's in a different context, but I'll explain to you what I mean. Let's listen to the German Minister for Foreign Affairs, Baerbock, who has announced today that the European Union has announced that joint forces are going to the Red Sea to quell the recent attacks on ships, on cargo ships and trade ships. Let's watch this little clip here.
Eint der Wille hier in der Europäischen Union, dass wir im Roten Meer für Sicherheit sorgen müssen, dass wir die willkürlichen Angriffe der Husis zurückdrängen müssen. Fast täglich greifen die Husis aus dem Jemen ganz willkürlich völlig unbeteiligte Schiffe im Roten Meer an, greifen damit eine der zentralen Adern der freien Seefahrt und damit auch des Welthandels an. Daher ist es für uns wichtig, dass wir gemeinsam eine EU-Operation für das Rote Meer auf den Weg bringen. Wir zeigen damit, dass die EU handlungsfähig ist und dass sie ein verlässlicher Partner für das internationale Recht ist. Daher ist für mich hier zentral, dass wir die letzten Details jetzt dringend gemeinsam klären.
Oh, she's very excited about this. In my view, this is an excuse to place European forces in the Red Sea at a very, very strategic place, right? I mean, the Suez Canal, the countries, you know, Yemen and Saudi Arabia, all the countries that are around there. This is in Egypt. It's a very, very potent region where you need to have a lot of control if you want to keep your ships going, if you want to keep the military moving, if you want to keep your trade going. And so I believe this is actually much more about a coming war or an expansion of a war than it is about these attacks, which were, in my view, allowed to happen. This is a, you know, I think we're seeing a huge preparation. The Germans have also announced today again that they are considering accepting foreign nationals into the German army to recruit them, to speed up the citizenship process, and to consider people from outside of the EU, which is, of course, it's an unthinkable thing to do. I mean, the whole purpose, purpose of a standing army is to have a defense line for a nation or an alliance, if you will. But the reason why nations have armies in the first place, that's the only legitimate reason, is for defense. And if you grew up in a nation and you have family there and you have work there and you have community there and you have your church there and you have everything else there, then you have a very, very solid reason to defend that nation. You are attached, you are a patriot, you love your nation, and you will defend it, right? What they're talking about are mercenaries. They're giving people a path to quick citizenship, for various reasons, because Germans don't want to fight anymore. They're having a hard time recruiting. They're thinking about mandatory draft again and whatnot. They're having a hard time in many nations across the EU to recruit, because everybody knows that they're building up because they want this war with Russia and they want to go, and the people don't want the war. This is literally what we're really talking about here. It's ludicrous. Who would want people that have maybe just come to a new country in their army? People that have nothing in common with your culture, that don't even know what they would be fighting for. It's the most insane thing, but yet, you know, these things are being announced, as a matter of fact, as normal now, and apparently happening in various countries. I know there has always been a way to gain citizenship or to get into easier into a country if you join the armed forces. But there's one thing to be recruited for training, and a whole other thing to be sent into war zones and to actually go into battle a couple months after arriving in a nation. I think it's a disastrous idea. No nation should follow that. There's a few things that really should be kept to the native population, and defense is one of those. There are these sentiments everywhere, and I think part of why this is being built up so much is also because of this unprecedented historic primary win of Donald Trump last week. And you know, whatever people think about him, again, it's not really about a popularity contest, but I don't think that with Trump in office you're going to get that war. You're going to get that Russia war. I think he's made it very clear that's not how he wanted to handle things. That's not what he's interested in. And I don't think whichever team he really plays for, and whoever really pulls his strings, somebody always pulls somebody's strings. I just don't think that's a string you can pull with him. So they have to go to war and fix that situation beforehand. I'm really thinking it's also that various news outlets all over the place are reporting way more now on preparation, war preparation. They're showing what people are buying for emergency supplies. They're reporting on the bunkers that the multi-millionaires and billionaires are building all over the place. There's a lot of talk about that in the media, which simply, you have to look at it from a bigger picture. You saw that lady, you saw the German Minister for Foreign Affairs. From a purely strategical standpoint, why would you announce that? Why would you announce you're going to go into a region and quell attacks on trade ships? You don't announce it. You go there and you take care of business. If you announce it, what do? You actually warn the people that you're about to, attack, if you will. You don't do that. That's, strategically speaking, very, very stupid. But that's how the wars in the past 30 years have always been fought. All these announcements, because they're actually showing the announcement is not for the actual thing. It's to tell the public, this is the writing on the wall. We're telling you that we're preparing for war. That's what all these announcements are there for, all these press conferences. When you really go to business, you don't announce it. When you really want to win a battle, you don't announce it. You go and fight the battle. The more information every piece of information you give to the enemy is too much. And so from a strategic standpoint, all these announcements are completely stupid. And of course, we know that what they announce to the public and what is usually way behind what they're actually doing and what they're actually planning. There's an interesting clip that many of you might know that I wanted to share with you by General Wesley Clark. He used to be a senior NATO official. And there was this famous clip that's been around for a very long time where he talks about what happened right after 9/11 when he came into the Pentagon on September 20th, 2001, what was being conveyed to him. I want to share this clip with you here.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who had used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
So this is a famous clip, right? And it showed the bucket list. It didn't quite work out. And this is also why I wanted to play this clip. The way that it was projected that they were going to have these 7 war zones in 5 years didn't happen at all. And the reason why it didn't happen is the people. There's simply too much attention on all these things. Too much information was spread too fast, and it was a shit show. And the Russia war it wasn't on that bucket list, but I want to say probably since 2010, 2012, it was planned, it was cemented into the plan that a war with Russia was going to happen. It's 2024, and it is happening, but not in the way that they anticipated. The thing with this war is that there is not a scenario in which Russia doesn't ultimately come out with an upper hand. There just isn't a scenario. There's various reasons for it, but there isn't a scenario where Russia doesn't keep an upper hand. And the most important thing really is that the people, as far as I know, of Russia do not want war with the West, and the people of the West, Central Europe, of North America, of the United States and Canada, aside from some, I don't know, hyper liberal college kids, there is no desire to go to war. And this is where we come in. The question is, can we stop this? Can we actually prevent this from happening? I think one of the reasons why the military forces are beginning to recruit foreigners all over the place is because the domestic populations do not wish to fight anymore. Because I don't think that a lot of military-aged men want to, and women, by the way, want to go to war with Russia and want to fight these wars that they know are unnecessary. That's one deal. But I also think that we have a duty to communicate this to our brothers and sisters, for example, in Russia. Russia is just a big focus right now. It has been. And I think we need to communicate with them. We need to communicate with the influencers. We need to communicate. Just give me 1 second here. Here we go again. Little interruption. It's been a busy afternoon. Sorry about that. So I think it's up to we the people to communicate this to our friends, to our brothers and sisters. Also, one thing that I've been thinking about is how can we build a bridge between the alternative media in Russia and the alternative media here, so that we can actually communicate to those people who are looking beyond the mainstream, how we can communicate that we don't want conflict, that we don't want to go to war. And so if you have channels, whether that's, on Rumble or other platforms that are popular in Russia, and of influencers, we would love to build these bridges so we can communicate and make that clear and reach potentially millions of people in Europe, in Russia, and here, and make clear that we don't want to go to war. They don't want to go to war. We don't want to fight. Nobody wants to send their sons and daughters into war. Nobody wants that. And those people who do want it, well, they should go and fight it. There's a great song out there. I forget the artist's name, but it's "All the Wars from Now On Should Be Fought by Old Men." I love this song. I shared it somewhere on our channels. And basically the gist is, isn't that the people who started anyways? Listen, we can. I really truly believe we have already stopped so many things that were in the plans. We have softened so many blows together. I think we can do this. But number one is we have to be in a very, very balanced and peaceful state and not buy into these fake conflicts that are being thrown at us. And number two, I think we need to send this out into the world. I think we need to actually talk to people. If you live in a place where you have maybe Russian friends or neighbors, talk to them. See if we have to build as many bridges as possible, right? And really put out this vibe of friendship, of harmony, and let the people speak, and let the people show that it will not be supported. And that let the mothers speak up and the grandmothers, and let them say that they will not send their sons and daughters into war. And if you need a public forum for that, the Inspired channel will be honored to host it. So if you have videos by Russian mothers and grandmothers who feel this way, or American grandmothers and mothers who feel this way, send us the video. Or European grandmothers and mothers who feel this way, whose children might be in the armed forces, whose sons and daughters might be there. We will gladly put a compilation up. We will gladly put this up as often as we can to show that this is not something that the people want, and we don't support it. Not at all. All right, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your beautiful comments. Thank you for your support. And I wanted to clarify something that's been coming up lately. For example, we just did an interview that we aired yesterday here on YouTube with Jason Brashears. We aired a part of it, and another part was, or the whole interview was put on our website. And for those who have joined us recently and don't know, there's there are very, very strict rules as to what YouTube accepts and doesn't accept, and what they allow and don't allow on this platform. And those are their community guidelines and their advertiser-friendly guidelines. And so, as a YouTube, as a channel that posts on YouTube, if we go against those guidelines by speaking or sharing subjects that they don't allow, yes, welcome to free speech, YouTube, then they shut us down. And by shutting us down, we simply lose access to a great portion of our audience. That's why we encourage you, go over to Rumble, go over to our website, theinspiredchannel.com, watch there also. We just wanted to let you know, and this is another thing where I get that people write angry comments and all, but it's really directed. You're barking up the wrong tree. Go and bark up YouTube's tree. You are YouTube's audience. You are the ones who are indirectly financing their operations. So go to YouTube, bark up their tree, and let them know that you want a free speech platform and not this bullshit censorship thing that they have been, creating. Alrighty, my friends. Thank you again. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.